Yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Element Reptile here. How's it going? Today we got some news to bring up. Just happened today and last night as well. A lot of talks has been going on. Last night, Texas officially has greenlit and it's now active. The bill that was spoken 2 months ago about banning anime. Yes, I said it very clearly. Today is the first day, which is a Labor Day. Texas has officially have been starting to crack down on anime that's on Crunchyroll, Funimation, to even pirate sites. The Safety Act that we all have been fearing about. Sorry about that, Twitch. The Safety Act that we all been fearing about that's going on in the UK. Also, the Safety Act, the Safety Act, the Safety Act that you've been hearing all the time in the UK has already been reached actually here in the United States, which is not a surprise. Now, what happened now in Texas is this audacity of trying to protect children, which is a complete, like, the lamest excuse for uses of control. And something that pisses me off too is that even the use of common sense to that has showed a lot of conflictions throughout the entire United States. Now, anime has its quirks and it's known to be weird. Yes. And yes, a lot of things in the internet has certain dark sides that no kid should watch. But this right now has already been the last straw. This is the last straw. This is now to ban such things that isn't harmful has officially been banned. Cheerby Reviews says it better.
How does it keep getting worse, man? It keeps getting worse. The Texas Senate Bill 20 has passed. This is the very bill I talked about earlier this year that you probably recall me talking about extensively, that anime, manga, games could theoretically get banned. For instance, if you watch something like Naruto or Dragon Ball, Bleach, or let's say you watch Family Guy or The Simpsons, you might get arrested. You could go to jail for owning or watching these said series because of this Texas Senate bill that would pass. But as you can see, it did pass. It passed on June 20th, 2025, and it is a moderate partisan bill, which means Republicans and Democrats both voted for it. But to go even further, it comes into effect tomorrow, September 1st, 2025. And we already see how it's affecting people. Don't believe me? Let me show you proof. So this is Jast, a pretty big company that houses a lot of, let's say, anime games, and houses a lot of adult anime games as well. And they went to an anime convention, you can see by their post, and you know what? Let's just read it. After a very successful Friday, we were banned from the San Japan Convention in San Antonio, Texas, this weekend. Our content is too provocative for the powerful of the Lone Star State, ahead of the anti-anime bill, SB 20, going into effect on Monday. Tomorrow is Monday. So what does this mean in the grand scheme of things? Well, first off, we need to talk about Jast's situation. So from my understanding, this company, this group that has a lot of adult games, has a lot of, icky adult games, has, adult content and stuff and anime content, they were banned from a convention, which is very strange because from my understanding, Jast has always went to a bunch of different conventions over the years. I'm assuming they've been to San Japan Convention in San Antonio quite a bit over the years. I don't know necessarily, do not quote me on that one, but I know for a fact they probably visit a lot of different conventions around the country. The thing is to randomly get banned from a convention And then the bill that is potentially going to affect all anime and manga coming into effect this upcoming Monday, it feels perfectly timed. Now, this could be a
I don't think so. Perfectly timed. Maybe yes. Let me hear what he says.
coincidence, and what Jast is saying here could just be chalked up to a coincidence.
No, it could be a coincidence. I would kind of agree to certain thing. It could be a coincidence, but uh, I don't think that would be like a pattern. Now, I don't research much as Chibi reviews. I don't do that much research. I don't have the patience for it. Chibi dedicates years. Chibi has done great research. When I first learned about Chibi reviews, I think 2 years ago. I mean, he was the one doing the best research for the anime content. He did frankly he did reviews. I mean, he doesn't do only just news. Of course, he does the anime updates, Jujutsu Kaisen, Frieren to certain other animes. Of course, I think the current ones that he did was Takopi's Original Sin to I think another one that I am watching right now. Not Mononoke. The summer Hikaru died and Dan Dan Dan, right? Everybody knows that. Now, let's go back to talking to what about this first, right? It is quite a thing that is going down in the UK because recently in the UK, right? In the UK, this is coming from the research from Chibi Reviews, right? That the UK is officially banning, right? Has been arresting people for retweeting. Yeah, he's being arrested for retweeting posts and cartoons. Retweets, the UK free speech, right? This is published by the New York Post. This kind of stuff, which is such an irony, which is such double standards, that's putting actual, children to risk, without a doubt. This is going to put lots of kids at risk. There's already Scottish 14-year-old girls who had to walk out of the house with axes and knives from these predatory migrants. I don't care if you're Muslim. I don't care if you're Christian. I don't care if you're Buddhist. I don't give about none of that. If you're coming to if there's a person trying to force their culture, force whatever habits or ideologies there is into another person's country, you get the fuck out. You literally get the fuck out. But what's happening is that since they don't want to talk about that, they're censoring things of free speech. They're going to censor free speech in the innate, and that is going to cause chaos and brimstone. Meanwhile, they're allow, shit like actual rapists running around, criminals doing crime, and so much more. And probably even terror cells. There's probably potential terror cells right now. That was back in the 2010s. Back then, there were actual original terror cells. I remember that time. Now, what relates to this is that the censorship thing, because of the risque and obscene topics that Chibi Review has done. Something like this is gonna harm children. Something like this is gonna harm children. It's not meant, right? And it has no message to it. There's no sexual message to it. Sure, yeah, it shows a spanking a butt, but is that gonna be very sexually depraved? And that's a target to children, while in reality there's actual children who have not been avenged in the Epstein file, right, and the P Diddy freak-offs, to Yemen and Nigeria. There are actually victims of sexual victims out there, on all sides. But we're here to as well as censorship, right? There is something about that. There's something about that, right? Oh man, I've been farting a lot. Wait, you know?
Because they do outline and say that the anti-anime bill SB 20 is going into effect Monday. So it seems to me like they're more or less trying to blame the bill, or they're saying that, this is happening right before the bill goes in effect. And regardless if it was the law or not that caused this, the point of the matter is maybe the people within the convention center, they didn't want JAS there because of the adult content and the complications it might cause thanks to the bill going into effect this upcoming Monday. Whatever the case may be, the point of the matter is it happened. And they have been banned. Now, what does this mean going forward? So we need to talk about what SB 20 actually represents and what it's going to be doing once it comes into effect. Because from what Jast has mentioned, it's implied that they were affected to some degree. Now, once again, it could be a coincidence, but it's implied. Now, when this bill goes into effect, and the reason why a lot of people are worried about it, is because of the vagueness of its bill. Even the summary here, which you can just read yourself, pause the video and read yourself, it's extremely vague. Crunchyroll is headquartered in Texas as well, so SB 20 theoretically is going to hit Crunchyroll, and a bunch of their anime on their platform is probably going to get hit.
That also include, yes, a lot of that, since they're in Texas, that's going to include, for you Shonen Jump lovers, and too, I watch Shonen Jump too, that's going to include Dandadan, that's going to include Dragon Ball Z, that's going to include Bleach, Naruto, One Piece. Everybody watches One Piece. One Piece. It's going to include Jujutsu Kaisen at a certain extent. It may include other shows like Gurren Lagann or Demon Slayer. Who knows? But most likely, it's going to affect shows like Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball Z. Those shows that we all grew up and watched are going to be probably making be banned. Bleach too, due to its fan service, and yes, due to its the concerns of high school students being overtly sexualized, that kind of stuff. But it's like he said, it's vague. It's very vague at such an extent. They're gonna think that this is gonna, because such things is going to harm and influence minors in such a way, and have them feeling some type of way. I call that bullshit. Because when I was a kid, I did have seen things that I'm not supposed to see, right? And of course, I know what's right, what's wrong. When as parent, and on behalf of a parent, if I was a parent and I had catch my kid seeing anime that might seem a little obscene, but yet doesn't seem too harmless, that doesn't show like titties out, and I watch lots of hentai and various ecchi scenes. Yes, I am kind of a gooner. Yes, I am. But if I was a parent and see that, and I see a certain fan service, but that isn't really revealing, but it does show a certain position, I won't have any problem to that. I won't. You can't just yes, you have to make sure the kids are safe, right? Everyone accepts the facts that that children needs to be protected. Yes, there's a lot of demented shit going down there, a lot of degeneracy that can destroy a child's livelihood. A lot. But think of the freedom of speech. Where's our freedom of expression? Where's our continuity that America was known for? And then came censorship along the way. and to the censorship on his behalf that are included for kids too. There are even certain animes, even Dandadan, right? Chainsaw Man. Now, Chainsaw Man is not for kids. It's violent. It has sexual themes. No, not really as much, but it was more violence. They have banned violence before. I mean, they tried to in back in the Satanic Panic days. All right, I was born into 2000. I grew up in the 2000s, so I had a first few kind of glimpse. I had my first glimpse in on the Satanic Panic in the 2000s, right? And how they try to deter a lot of children because we had a good fertility rate at the time, right? But what I found out is that there's also hypocrisy to that. It's so much hypocrisy, that has been going on.
A bunch of their stuff might get censored or removed thanks to the bill coming into effect tomorrow within Texas. I believe there is a lawsuit as well that was in court a long time ago that passed where pretty much this entire bill, SB 20, is kind of unconstitutional. And a lot of people believe that this bill really wouldn't go anywhere. It'd be instantly challenged and thrown out because of just how it would probably break a lot of different laws. Now, in the writing of the bill, what it tries to do is more or less ban provocative or obviously things that might resemble a child within a series. The point of the matter is that the bill is so vague that it could affect stuff like Family Guy, Simpsons, Naruto, Dragon Ball, Bleach. You get the point. And the reason why I say it affects those series, let's think about what it's trying to do. Like these obscure or obscenity visual material. Stewie, within Family Guy, obviously would not fly thanks to this bill that's in Texas. Simpsons has a lot of content similar. Dragon Ball has a lot of characters that are kids. Like, let's think about, what he goes through. Or Videl, technically. Like, what Videl goes through. There's ways to view this that obviously would get series instantly banned, or you get instantly arrested for even possessing these series in your home, or even getting caught watching them, so to speak. Yeah. So, pretty much, this bill is so vague, so broad, that it hurts a lot of anime, a lot of manga, a lot of games as well, because if there's games that have any depiction of someone that might be a kid within it, it's going to get banned. So, that's the problem. And once again, this law was passed, I want to point this out, this law was passed because of one thing in particular. Think of the children.
Think of the children. Think of the children. You know what also pisses me off too? Again, like I said it before. Common sense. I hate heartily the abuse of the word common sense. If I'm thinking of something, right? Of placing my bike somewhere where it cannot be seen, right? And if I say I want to put it on the far away side so it doesn't so no one can see it because it's really dark. While I have a garage. It says, sir, put the bike in the garage. Right? But they won't find out. Like, dude, it's better over here. Common sense. That is where you use common sense. But people use common sense as an excuse. Think of the children as an excuse. A lot of people right now. I heard Hypnotic said it. I heard many video gamers. I think Nerdologic said it. I know Monte Sensei said it. Think the word that they use common sense as a shield, right? As a gaslighting shield. This is not from the woke left. This is hard right. These are from the conservatives. These are from the Puritan religious people. They say that the purity in the name of the Lord and Savior is King. He must come down and slay the blasphemy and behold his peace and his message in the name of Jesus Christ. Say amen, Jesus Christ, they say. These are the ones, right? While this is nothing to do with that. While in reality, right? While those same people do that, they're gonna ignore the fact that there is a documentary called Cuties, right? They're gonna ignore the fact of fucking Roblox is that has defended predators. Defended predators. You're gonna hate. You're gonna start cracking down and start arresting people for drawing or watching anime, right? That colludes certain childlike design like characters, or like, you know, a lolly or a shota in a that is on an obscure way, which is made from another country, right? But you're not gonna go after Roblox, some of the CEOs of Roblox. You're not gonna go after the fucking predators and the monsters that are on that did the things they did in Epstein Island, right? But let's get into censorship. You know, in censorship, right? Because such things that they say that in the Western culture, which I start to kind of like, we all saw the cracks in Western society and Western pop culture that has been shown, right? I've seen when I saw the parts of High School DxD, it was everything was revealing, right? Or anime, right? When anime was introduced, the United States was considered that as a threat back in the 90s. This is history lesson. This is me giving you guys history lesson. Anime, when it first started to blow up in the 1990s, it was thought to be for kids, you know, until a guy named John O'Donnell, who showed Gunsmith Cats and I think another cyberpunk anime that was made in the 1990s that had a lot more adult theming. There were some people, he said, that were totally offended because they thought this was porn smut. They were tremendously offended. So there was a culture part to it. And as anime was getting more introduced to not just Cartoon Network, also on Adult Swim, I think parts of Sci-Fi, HBO, which there's more unfiltered, right? And a few politicians here in the United States, and they tried to ban that in the United Nations in New York. They try to ban, you know, anime, right? And certain other cartoons that are not American. And we had this thought that John McDonnell said, that we're the only country that has this locked in, closed gated mentality that animation's for kids. When in reality, it's not always for kids. It's not. It's for everyone. But reason to that was what many people don't understand, and this is history lesson. In history, I think back in 1933, although there was censorship at that time, I guess somewhere around the way, this is a proper way of censorship. The original King Kong, when I was a kid, I had that because I was fascinated with Turner's classic movies at the time. The original King Kong, 1933, when it was shown and debuted at the time, a good number of scenes were deleted. A lot of shots and cuts were cut off. It was so basically what I'm saying. There was almost a half of King Kong 1933 was completely cut off, deleted, burnt. Yes. Ryan Cooper, I think that's his name at the time. That was a director. His name was Cooper. Let's just say. This was in the 1930s. You know, this is back in the 1930s. This is where censorship happened, right? Because of the concern of such things that were seen too crazy and frightening, and things seemed too fragile. You know, at the time that a lot of people were used to it, they would tend to chop it off scenes and then burn it. That right? But after years flew by, and King Kong 1933 was in in the TVs around, I think around the 1970s or the 1980s, where they actually showed a good other scenes where, for example, King Kong was trying to go after, the sailors, and then started biting and eating and murdering a bunch of villagers and destroying, a village tribe, and right, and yeah, that, and all such, right? And then showed, I think, another scene where that was deleted, where Kong breaks the T-Rex's mouth, right? Now those scenes were actually cut from here in the United States. It was cut in the United States, though when the Lears came on, the re-release of King Kong 1933 came up, I think around the 1970s and 1980s. It was show the uncensored parts, but it was still censored at the long time. They still cut off, scenes, of course, the infamous spider pit sequence. They did cut off scenes like some of the scenes where Kong falls off the Empire State Building on a specific shot. They did cut off a lot of various scenes. They cut off the Styracosaurus and all that stuff, right? But it showed, the new re-release was a European version, was the European edit that was uncensored. So you can tell that happens. And another example to that was, when it comes to this double standard bullshit, is Disney, when the Little Mermaid showed, right? Not many people had any realization that there was a certain shot where Ariel from the Little Mermaid was naked, and they were showing they showed the silhouette. They didn't show all of it, but they showed a silhouette of Ariel naked at the horizon of the sun. They didn't, right? Nobody found out until these new age kids that we have been so sensitive these days on this part, right? They have no idea. And on top of that, she was 16. Ariel was 16. And not to mention Jasmine was also 16. And there were some certain fan service shots. Tinkerbell as well. Fan service shots of Disney. Yeah, now they're going to come see an anime and they want to ban something like this. If you really want to censor various fan service, then you should censor the original, certain scenes of the original Little Mermaid. You should censor certain scenes of the original Fern Gully. You should start censoring Tinkerbell as well. But you did. Maybe you have probably did. You probably banned her. You already shut her down. You probably did Wish, when it could have been amazing if it was like a sort of human mind character that you guys could have done, but you fucked it over and then said give hand to a little star. And now you guys sucked. It was dog shit. They did. That's what Chibi's talking about in this video. Chibi is, it's a whole thing that has to be talked about, because right now we're cooked. If one gets banned, then everything else gets banned. Let's just say it. If one thing gets banned, everything else gets banned. I mean, that includes not just anime. That includes, like you said, video games, manga, comic books, cartoons that are made in the United States. Because we need to protect children is used as an excuse for control. It is, as he said, it is vague. It is so vague. Because if we are protecting for children by banning these arts, right, that means we're basically putting children into actual harm's way by censoring that and not going after the actual criminality that is actually harming kids, like the ice cream trucks phenomenon that's going in Virginia. Yeah. So, you enjoy your last days because it's not gonna go well. And Texas, sound fucking stupid. Your comments is gonna be stupid. It's not gonna prove a point because it's gonna affect you. Let's just say it's gonna affect you guys. It's gonna affect you guys. Definitely gonna affect you.
Think of the children. We must protect the children. I'm going to say it again. Anime isn't real. Manga isn't real. Games are not real. People that can't separate fiction from reality are mentally ill.
Yeah.
It's not the game's fault. It's not the anime's fault. It's not the manga's fault. It's their own fault because they are mentally ill and they can't separate fiction from reality. People that think fiction is real need to honestly go to an asylum. Straight up. Because they need to take some meds. They're a schizo. This is insane. Because this is the very thing that I...
Hey, he said it. He said it himself, bro. He said it himself. Anime isn't real. Anime isn't real. Damn right it isn't real. Damn right it isn't real. I chose anime over the live action. Unless the live action shows completely... It does show unreality. Like non-reality shit. Like the Fast and Furious, if the Fast and Furious is so fucking fake because no guy can survive a fucking helicopter, like jumping out of a helicopter without a few bruises, without broken arms and ripped skin. No person survives that. All right? Not one. Anime, he said it himself, bro. He said anime is not real. Separate fiction and reality. Yes, separate that shit. And do not, it is so fucking true, bro. It's so fucking true that people forget about that. And they put double standards to that shit. Nah, bro, anime is weird. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Get out. Get out. All right? Get out of my anime. If you don't like it, go watch something else. If you don't like this particular anime, go ahead. Go watch Shonen Jump. Go watch Summer Hikaru Die. There's no fan service to that. Well, there is. If you are curious and conform to my interests, I will share it to you. Because I'm not forcing it to you. I'm not forcing it to you. If kids... And once again, they talk about think about the children. Children is on behalf of the parents' job. All right? It's the parents' job to make sure that the children don't look into that shit. And besides, there's many, many options. But since the internet's about to get censored now, half of the internet's being censored. Or somewhat. But we got an age verification. We got Adobe. We got, Hollywood making the shittiest of things. And animation, they don't expand further from it until Sony Animation did it. Disney will never do that. Again, like this is, it is so funny because like that they would go after these kinds of things rather than going after the real problem out there. They will go after this art rather than going after the real stuff. Because apparently art influenced that. No. Drawings don't do that, man. You are fucking retarded.
Talking about for over a month now, like with everything that's been going on with the UK, to EU, to what's happening in Brazil, America now, Canada, Australia. This is another effect, and this is now happening in Texas. Now, I do believe that this bill is going to kind of start off small. It's very likely it'll start off small, ban little things here and there that might go under the radar and people might not be aware of, but then it might ramp up with time if there's not a lot of pushback, and it might spread itself to other states around the United States. If this happens in the United States and there's like no pushback, it will spread. It will spread to other states. It will spread to other countries, and I do think that there is going to be some court battles that potentially happen thanks to this. I remember a few lawyers talking to me in private saying that there's no way this would be passed, and even if it did, it would be instantly challenged because of previous court cases and stuff with obscenity laws. But even in the fact that it passed showcases the corruption and what our government's doing under the radar and using the disguise of think of the children as a means to restrict people, restrict freedom of expression, so to speak. This is not good. Don't like this whatsoever.
Because the hypocrisy is, okay, when you use obscenery, right? What kind of obscenery? What things they may is sexual or is not sexual? Because obscene can mean many things. It can mean, yes, sexual, but it also can mean violence. It could also mean darker messages. That, right? It could also mean certain elements, certain elements of politics that may be explicit as in a sense of, for example, there's 8 million people in this world, but it would be better if there were none. That's explicit. That when you say the word obscene, you have to be specific of it. Yes, we are on the radar. Yes, that the concept, yes, is good. We are truly concerned for the safety of our children when it comes to seeing, corn into that. That is a concern. But that's also a flip side to it because there's no freedom of expression. You need freedom of expression. This is what America's about, bro. America's about freedom of expression, bro. America's about expressing what you believe in. America was not built on Christian principle. No, it was just built on religious freedom. These Puritans, these grifters, right, that are just going at it. These politicians who have never heard of the word anime. These are baby boomers. These baby boomers shouldn't even think about the word anime. They need to mind their business on certain other stuff. But no. This is happening. This is basically, like in the Middle East, this shit's happening. Right? This shit's happening in the Middle East. In the UK too. Sharia law has censored this kind of stuff. The UK has completely abandoned this kind of stuff. It is dangerous shit.
And I just what's this year, man? What is 2025, dude? I'm so tired, man. I'm so tired. It just like it's one thing after another. If it's not this, it's payment processors ruining people's livelihoods, or it's UK invading people's privacies, or there's just people being labeled a terrorist if you even have your own country's flag. You're waving your country's flag. It's just insanity, man. Actual insanity. I'll leave it at that, though. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe, leave a like, and leave a comment.
Yeah, bro, that's crazy shit. Man. It is, like he said it again, that it is a situation that needs to be talked about at all costs, bro. It is a situation we talk about. And okay, so anyways, this is much of a video. I hope you guys like this. Like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, see more of my content. We hope to see each other the next time. Peace out, bro.